What did you think you got away with, only to find out later that, no, you didn't? My friend's story, but I was with her when it all went down. She started smoking and tried to hide it from her parents. We were 16 or 17 at the time, and it had went on for quite a while. Fast forward a few months, I'm on holiday with her and her parents, and we always had the possibility of sneaking out so she could have a smoke and hide it afterwards with gum, deodorant and perfume. So one night we went to a restaurant with her parents and she decides to get a beer. Her mother was quite shocked at her choice of beverage and said, "I knew you smoked, but that you drink alcohol is new to me." Turns out her parents knew all along. No matter how well you try to hide it, you won't be very effective. Non-smokers can always smell a smoker. Half busted, half got away with it. Grandparents lived with us. Family computer was on a counter in the kitchen. Grandma wanders out while I'm watching Hardcore P, though she was too groggy to understand. She told my mom about it in the morning, only she thought it was my brother, and my mom didn't say anything until years later after grandma passed away. I elected to not say anything. Got some balls on ya. P. In a crowded house. On the family computer. In the kitchen nonetheless. Kudos. I stole a bottle of Hennessy from my dad's liquor cabinet. Drank half of it with a friend in my room. Stashed the bottle under a stack of beanies that I had on my dresser. A couple of nights later we went back to hit it again, and in its place was a brand new bottle of fish sauce. We were busted for sure. A little after the discovery, my dad knocks on my door and asks if we want some noodles he made. Sure, why not? We're all sitting at the table enjoying our bowls of noodles and dad says, "You know what this needs? Some fish sauce. You guys want some fish sauce?" Deadpan. "No, thanks." Quietest meal I've ever had with my dad. Your dad is a legend. When I was 5, I wrote my name on the wall in crayon and blamed it on my 1-year-old sister. I thought I got away with it, but everyone knew it was me. I'm an only child, and one time I wrote all over my wall with crayon and swore it wasn't me to my mom. She then tells me, "Well, if it wasn't you, and it wasn't me, I'm going to kill your father when he gets home from work." And I freak out and start crying. We took my friend's father's car before either of us had a license. I backed into another car at a McDonald's, and the people called the cops. The cop gave me a ticket for operating without a license and let his brother come and pick up the car. His parents found out, mine didn't. I paid the ticket and forged my mother's name because I wasn't 18 yet. 4 months later, a friend of the family caught wind of it and asked my mother about it. I was grounded for 3 months, the only time my mother stuck to it. My mom found out I got arrested for underage possession of alcohol when I was 20 through her friends asking her why my mugshot was in the paper. LOL. I feel you, homie. Society is full of snitches. I remember when I was like 14, my mom asked me why I was taking my laptop and headphones into the bathroom with me. I told her it's because I take forever and I like to listen to music. I totally thought she bought it back then, but she knew. She definitely knew. I used to do this and I said I was just playing video games. The thing is, I actually was. I had TF2 and a Steam controller and I wasn't wasting a second. Stole a bottle of vodka from my parents' stash, replaced half of it with water and put it back inside the freezer. We went back a few days later and found that half of it was frozen, but we had no idea why, so we ignored it and refilled it with water. We got away with it. Then a few days after that, my dad says, "I think we got ripped off at the store." Me. Why? Dad, because one of the cool things about alcohol is that it doesn't freeze. Some people like to rip people off by adding water to vodka. I know for a fact that my sons wouldn't do that. My mom went away for a long weekend and I of course held 3 consecutive rippers. Cleaned the bejesus out of the house before she got home. It was immaculate and she never said anything, so figured I had pulled it off. A few years later I fessed up and she just looked at me slyly and said she knew the whole time. Apparently while the house was clean, every picture frame in the place was crooked. I used to goof around on Omegle in middle school. Nothing too interesting, just conversation. But I knew my parents were scared of me being on the internet at all, blocking my ability to chat on Club Penguin and stuff. And one day my mom screams from down the stairs, "Stop talking to strangers and come set the table." Didn't happen to me. but I was involved. Back in high school, a friend of mine organized a New Year party at his place. Parents away, drunk the crap out of ourselves. The house was a mess, but my friend and his brother managed to clean the following day. The parents came back home. Nothing happened until a few days later, when my friend's mother found a bucket full of puke concealed under a bed, and more puke in the waterfall representation of the nativity. Okay, I had a similar story. Parents out of town, huge party. I had several friends help set up and clean up. The house was spotless, except we put the area rug and turned 180 degrees. I didn't even notice the pattern on the rug was asymmetrical. My mother noticed it immediately and was just like, "You have got to be freaking kidding me," because we worked so hard to clean that place up. Walking out of the high school after track practice with 3 of my friends when the fire alarm goes off. One friend goes, "Guys, what do we do?" Well, when the fire alarm goes off, you're supposed to leave the building, and that's where we were headed anyway, so we went with that. The next day I get called to the resource officer's office and grilled on my whereabouts the previous day and who I was with. I had no reason to lie, so I gave him all the information he asked for. I asked if his questions had anything to do with the fire alarm. "What do you know about it?" he asked. "Only that it went off as we were leaving," I replied. He didn't tell me anything but let me go. Later that day, one of friends tells me he's been given an in-school suspension. Turns out he had been dragging his hand along the wall and slapped the fire alarm as he walked past it, causing it to go off. No one else knew he caused it when we decided to leave, and his asking us what to do hadn't clued us in. They were able to identify me in the security videos because I had my name written on my jacket. Once I gave up my friends' names, they were easy to identify in the video as well. I felt bad for ratting out my friend, but I only did it because I thought we were all innocent. Sneaking out of my house regularly throughout high school. Freshman, junior year I only did it a few times, but for a solid 3 months of my senior year, I snuck out every night. I thought my parents were under the belief that my window was broken and couldn't open. In reality, my dad believed that, but my mom knew it opened easily and silently. I found out my mom knew the whole time because one night while I was out, she texted me to tell me that my father was furious my bedroom door was locked and he was getting suspicious, so I needed to get home ASAP. I did. I let my dad yell and ask me a gazillion questions, but I stuck to the bullseye I'd already prepared. The next morning my mom told me she knew I'd been sneaking out, but she didn't care because she trusted me and she knew where I was going anyway. My BF at the time lived a few houses away. She just told me I needed to be more covered so I didn't pee my dad off. So, with my mom's help, I kept getting away with it and my dad never figured it out. I did the same thing, only I got caught because I created a dead spot in the back of the bushes under my window from jumping in and out. My answer isn't NSW, but growing up I'd watch a lot of movies with my mom, and whenever I sensed a sex scene or any scene of that nature about to come up, I'd go to the bathroom. Years later I found out she knew what I was doing the whole time. Seriously, nothing worse than a sex scene, the mother, especially as a kid. Peeing in the bushes on the side of the house as a kid. I spent a lot of time outside as a kid and was one to fight having to go in the house. Come to find out, 2 elderly neighbors contacted my mom multiple times that I was watering the greenery with my own fertilizing tactics. So my grandparents, Beeb Russian, drank a lot of vodka. They were bite by the case. Well, when my mom was younger, she would sneak a bottle, refill it with water, and hide it in one of the cases near the back of the cellar. Cut to 40 years later, I am now born and 19 years old. My grandparents are not in good health, and so they move into a retirement home and I move into their old house. I have a housewarming party and we decide to do shots of vodka since there is a ton of it. We open the bottle and drink some, and we all instantly know that this is water. Later, I ask my mom about it and she starts laughing hysterically, remembering that she had swapped out the real liquor. I 100% gave her up to my grandparents the next time we visited, and they found it funny too. My dad is spectacular at that type of stuff. 95% of the stuff I would have done as a kid. If caught, I'd be tossed through the ringer. With a few exceptions, he kept his jokes on me. However, now that I'm older, we can shoot and crap, and if something comes up that Welder got my boss beat before, now he just laughs and says, "Well, I didn't catch ya." When I was 10 or 11 years old, I was playing with my 2 years younger brother. I don't remember what we were playing, but as we played I got angry about something he did and beat him purely out of instinct. Like I didn't mean to do it, but you know, the spur of the moment kinda reaction. He started crying like crazy. So in order to escape being punished by my mom, who was outside the house, I wiped his tears off his face and tried to console him. I told him he can beat me back, and he did. I acted like I was hurt so badly, so that he feels like he got his revenge, and he stopped crying and was quite happy about the fact that he got to beat me back. 2 minutes later, we hear mom opening the back door and all of a sudden he burst out crying like I smacked him right then and there. Yup, I was punished for that. Bloody genius, brother. This is so relatable. It's so hard being the older sibling. So my uncle used to own this property in the Florida Keys that my family would sometimes vacation at. There was a house with a large pool by the dock out back. The pool was about 50 meters away from the house, so it was a decent little walk from the house. I had recently gotten a girlfriend. I think I was 16-17 at the time, and had brought her along, and my whole family was chilling by the pool. One by one, they all go in, and it's just me and my girlfriend left. Well, I look back and I can see my family chilling eating dinner in the house. There was a large glass porch so you could see the pool from the house. But hey, they are pretty far away, and obviously not paying attention to us, right? Plus it's getting dark anyway, I said to myself as my girlfriend and I got down to business in the pool. When we finished up everyone was asleep, so we high-fived each other and went to sleep. Score, right? I got away with having sex in the pool. My teenage self was hella proud. Until 5 years later at a family wedding. They are telling embarrassing stories and here I am thinking I am in the clear, until to my horror I find out that not only did everyone see us, but they were apparently cheering us on and my parents were super embarrassed. They said it was like real life pee as they sat and drank margaritas and bet on how long I would last. TLDR. Had sex with my girlfriend in a pool, didn't realize my entire extended family was watching me the whole time. But they were apparently cheering us on and my parents were super embarrassed. They said it was like real life pee as they sat and drank margaritas and bet on how long I would last. That is really strange, but Florida, so it checks out. When I was 4 I cut my hair with scissors. I realized all the hair on the ground was a bad thing, so I hid it under the couch. Problem solved. Mum walked in the room and immediately screamed, "What the heck did you do to your hair?" I could not understand how she knew. Solid 4-year-old logic. Was listening to a guy at work talk about history on a subject he was completely wrong about. Instead of arguing, I decided to talk crap about him by messaging my friend in the cubicle over. But, of course, I accidentally messaged the very guy I was talking crap about. So, I started debating him about the topic. Then I casually walked over to his desk and got on his computer as if I was looking something up to support my argument. And I closed the chat window. Success. I walked by to my desk relieved, forgetting that if you don't actually click on the chat window, the message will appear unread and trigger a missed message email. 10 minutes later, I get forwarded an email from the guy with my crap talking message attached. I had to totally swallow my pride and apologize my butt off, which, to his credit, he graciously accepted. My parents' house is at the top of a hill. The house is also 3 stories tall. The top floor is where all of the living happens. It's got the living room, the kitchen, and the dining room. And just off the dining room is a balcony where my parents have always had some kind of furniture. When I was a kid, it was a plastic dining table with chairs and an umbrella. Because of the way the house was situated on the hill, the wind had a tendency to lift the umbrella out of its base. For that reason, we were asked not to open their umbrella when mom and dad weren't at home, because they didn't want it to get damaged. Cue me and my friend chilling out on the balcony after school one day before my parents have come home from work. My friend and I decide to open the umbrella to keep the sun off of us, while my little sisters are commenting on how we're not supposed to be playing with the umbrella. I ignore them, cause I'm the oldest, and I want to look cool for my friend, I guess. I had everything under control. Nope. Suddenly, an updraft lifts the umbrella not only out of the base, but up through the hole on the center of the table, off the balcony, and up onto the roof. Now I'm in panic mode because there's no way I'm getting into the roof of a 3-story house for an umbrella. But also, my parents are due home in like 30 minutes. My friend is ready to bail, while my sisters and I run around the outside of the house looking for any kind of solution. At some point, my friend goes home. I'm back inside, still trying to figure out what a plausible story could be for why the umbrella is on the roof, when I hear the sound of a large umbrella being dragged by the wind across the roof and into the backyard. I run out of my house, grab the umbrella, and bring it back to the balcony, where I slot it back into place and do my best to hide any damage I see. Then I swear my sisters to secrecy and act like nothing happened. Weeks, or possibly months later, I'm having a friendly argument with my mom about something where I'm defending my ability to be responsible or something. I honestly don't really remember the exact context, but I remember that it was friendly and good-humored. In any case, I was defending myself, and her rebuttal was, oh, like when you opened the umbrella when your dad and I weren't home, and it went on the roof. I was stunned. How do you know about that, I ask? Your sister told us the day it happened, but she said it was a secret, and that we couldn't say anything. I read erotic novels online and switch tabs every time my sis come into my room. Well, she doesn't say anything, but I know she knows, and she knows that I know she knows. One time I didn't know how to leave a tight parking spot. My car was book roadmaster, and my friend beside me confused the heck out of me to turn the wheel all the way to the left before exiting, and I did. It was a huge dent on the other car. I didn't know what to do. I was 17 and no one was watching, so I went on my way. The next day my dad yelled at me for leaving without putting a note or finding the car owner. I still have no idea how did he know about it. I imagine if it was in a public area they pulled the cameras, ran the plate of your car and contacted your father. This was probably 6th grade. My sister and I were fighting and I kicked my parents' bedroom door and made a hole in the door. Parents weren't home, and so I remember I had just drawn this lovely photo of dolphins in art class and I taped it over the hole so my parents wouldn't see it. My parents got home shortly after and first thing my mom did was take down my drawing. Busted. Illusion 1. I'm an alcoholic, and towards the beginning of my last bender I was showing up to work so freaking drunk. I definitely smelled like vodka and looked like crap. I ended up getting sober and I talked about it with some friends. Everyone knew. Everyone was freaked out. I almost lost my job. I kinda thought people knew, but I didn't really know the extent. When you're that deep you think you're fooling everyone, even my family. I'm 141 days sober now and I no longer act like a disheveled mess. Congratulations on your sobriety. My uncle used to throw parties whenever my grandparents away and they knew about it cause of the neighbors but let it go because he always cleaned up perfectly. One day some kid lost his glasses at the party, so parents contacted parents and it gave them the way of busting him without blaming the neighbors. TL. Dr. West Van Cops busted us but waited 2 weeks to call my parents. Buttholes. It was the worst night of my life. Halloween. 1991 or 1992. I'm not sure which. I was born in May 76, so I was 15 or 16 years old. We had prepared for this night. My best friend and I. We had coin, and we'd invested it in bottle rockets. BR. Lots of them. We didn't care for the rockets though. We just wanted the gunpowder. We made an assembly line along the IKEA white top desk in my parents' office. Crack the rocket. Dispense the gunpowder. Save the wick. Rebuild. We primarily built one thing. That last sentence is redundant, but I'm drunk as I write this, so sorry. We built X-bombs. I can't recall what we called them, but I know what they were. They were .22 shells stuffed with BR powder with a wick. Those things were freaking awesome. They worked underwater. They worked in a pile of dog crap. This was the 90s. They just worked. They went kablooey. So, we built a lot of them, and we set out on Halloween of 91 or 92 to have some fun. We had our arsenal of X-bombs, regular firecrackers, a real slingshot, a few packs of cigarettes, a few joints, and a troll doll stuffed with gunpowder and wick. It was gonna be the greatest night of my life. But it rained. It rained hard. North Vancouver hard. Hard rain. Nothing worked. We tried smashing windows at a school with a slingshot. Didn't work. Nothing worked and it was wet, but we'd kept the troll doll dry. Surely, it'd work. It was essentially a pipe bomb. We lit the fuse, ran the corner and smacked into West Van's finest, who were patrolling an elementary school at 11:30. Can't blame them. It is Halloween. We're busted. Marijuana. Firecrackers. Slingshot. There were reports earlier of, they scare the bejesus out of us. Parents will be called. Riot act. Law. Courts. Blah. Blah blah. Okay, you can go, but we'll be calling your parents. Too late to take a bus. It's a long way home. A long way. I expect to get home to heck, but I'm greeted by happy drunk mama. Nothing happens. Phew. Next day. Phone rings. Crap. Nope. We good. Day after. Phone rings. Crap. Nope. We good. Phone rings and rings and rings. And each time I freak the frick out. This is the 90s. People used the phone. It rang all the time. Each time I got super scared. This went on for weeks. Eventually, I figure I lucked out. Nope. Frick you West Van Police Department. When I was 14 I wanted to play a +18 zombie game. My mom is very strict with those kind of things, so I managed to convince her of pre-ordering without her knowledge. She found out later, because hiding screams and gore from the TV was obviously impossible. She did let me play the game, but with a restricted time per week. Traveling 8+ hours with my boyfriend, from my hometown to Edmonton AB, staying there for a week, getting a tattoo, and then traveling the 8+ hours back home. I really thought my mom wouldn't find out. Boy was I wrong. She only confronted me about this at the beginning of July. It took place September 2017. My mom went on vacation when I was in 8th grade to Cabo. I was a no-lifer, so I convinced her to let me stay with my friend so we could go to the zoo and stuff. She was down cause she was just gonna get fricked up the whole time anyway. Never once mentioned it to my friend or his mom. Instead I stayed home for a week and played all the video games a boy could dream of. I am old, and spent the early 90s doing my engineering apprenticeship. During this time I lived a double life as a hardcore raver. This means Friday I would finish work, straight home, change and off to raves in London, Birmingham or Wales for the whole weekend. Usually rocking home late on Sunday night, or Monday morning, and going straight back into work. Usually with a come down, or worse maybe still being slightly high. I did this for about 10 years, but still did well at work, and ended up as an R&D engineer. I decided to move on from that company and had a leaving party at a pub with my old colleagues and bosses. At this point I had calmed down a bit and was with a new girlfriend who came with me to the party. My old technical director commented it was nice to see me settling down a bit, and my girlfriend seemed nice. I asked him what he meant by settling down a bit, playing the situation down. He said, with a look of absolute incredulity on his face, "Are you freaking joking? We have no idea what you used to get up to at the weekends, but it was obvious you had a bloody good time from state you used to come in on Monday morning." I was kind of shocked as I didn't think it was that obvious. So I said, "Why did you never say anything? You are a bloody good engineer, who always does a good job. What you get up to in your own time is up to you." Cue a round of nodded agreement from around the table, me going red with embarrassment, and my new girlfriend collapsing in fits of giggles. "Peter, you were an absolute legend of a technical director." Pro tip: key to being good at anything is to get stupid high in your off time. I dropped out of college one semester and didn't tell my parents, but my friends knew of course. My mom called and told me she had heard I wasn't in school for the semester, from a cashier at the donut shop. Well, I went to school with a few guys from my hometown, and one friend's mom worked as a cashier at a grocery store locally, so he must have told her and she told other people. Then it ended up getting back to my mom. I was having a pretty fun semester not being in school and all until that happened. When I was a kid, my dad and I were in a store that sold the Trolls dolls with the diamonds in their belly button. I wanted one, but my dad told me no. Being a kid with no money, the next logical thing to do was to tuck one away in my shorts before leaving. We got home, like a rookie. I took it out to examine as soon as we got out of the car. My dad was reaching over to manually lock the car door. Hello, 90s, and saw. He drove me right back to the store and made me apologize for stealing. The lady gave me a stern lecture on what could happen if I did it again, cops and jail time. I'm actually thankful for the lesson from that day. I never stole again. When I was 15, I used to sneak into my dad's supply of alcohol in the glass cabinet or fridge. He normally had light beer and red wine, which I used to dilute with coke like a heathen. One of the times I snuck a few beers. I decided to drink enough to tipsy for the first time. Literally 2-3 beers later, I was running to the bathroom to vomit and, disgustingly, some clear liquid came out of my mouth while running across the carpeted hallway. I thought the projectile beer would dry clear and odorless with no trace, so I didn't even bother cleaning the carpet because I'm brilliant. Next morning, I feel like poop. I'm recovering in my bed in the daytime. My dad gently asks if I'm alright and is actually super mellow about the whole thing. No chastising. No calling me an idiot. My dad is cool. Getting talked to by the cops. I was facing a DUI, drinking underage, drunk in public, littering, and so on and so on. Totally figured I had gotten away with it for years until my dad said he knew that night. Apparently when you work with cops, cops tend to know you and your kids and rat your butt out real quick. The cop was a total awesome guy though. He understood our heartbroken woes as to why we were drinking in public on the hood of my buddy's car. We had both gone through breakups that were 18 months for me and 24 plus months for him, so we were just chilling out having a couple beers bitching to each other. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.